My friends, there are so many ways to tell a story. The version of the sword and the stone that you have seen is only one of many that was considered when this tale was being molded. Listen, and you shall hear a different beginning for the legend of the boy who became King of England. King Uther is dead, and his young son Arthur, the rightful heir to the throne, has disappeared. The kingdom is in chaos. A miraculous sword in a stone has appeared, with a legend declaring that he who draws the sword is rightful born King of England. But no one can succeed. Madame Nim and a Black Knight have devised a devious plan. They resolve to find the lost Prince Arthur and then take over his throne. They send a raven in search of him. The raven finds Prince Arthur, now called Wart, retrieving arrows for the knight Kay. Wart begs Kay for a chance to try his hand at the bow, and Kay reluctantly allows Wart to shoot an arrow. The raven seizes the arrow in mid-air and flies away. Kay is furious about losing the arrow and sends little Wart into the dangerous forest, warning him, "Don't come back without it." The raven teases and taunts Arthur, drawing him deeper and deeper into the woods, and into the hands of his masters, Madame Nim and the Black Knight. The forest becomes dark and even more foreboding. But before Madame Nim can get her hands on Wart, he is rescued by Merlin. Merlin, though, is an unlikely champion, as he can hardly get through the front door of his own house, until he uses magic. Wart is delighted with what he sees in Merlin's cottage. Merlin yells, "Archimedes, I'd like you to meet young Arthur." But Archimedes is distinctly unimpressed with Arthur. Then Merlin yells at Archimedes again, "The lion has gone!" Archimedes tells Merlin that he's too busy to be watching his lousy menagerie. They begin a furious search of the cottage to find the lion. Merlin is discouraged and says, "It's no use. He probably crawled out under the door or has been devoured by rats." Suddenly, Archimedes hears a distant roar, and Wart is frightened. But it turns out there's nothing much to be scared of. The lion is hiding in a pair of shoes and is little enough to fit in a birdcage. Merlin next accuses Archimedes of forgetting to water the tiny elephants, which he now does himself. Wart is fascinated, but gets a big surprise when he gets down to investigate the petite pachyderms more closely. Merlin explains that he is creating miniature animals so that they take up less space and are less dangerous as he studies their habits. The cottage is crammed with books, and Wart has to stuff a big fat dictionary back into its place in the library, as Merlin describes how he lives backwards in time and Archimedes lives forward in time, so that between them, they know everything. As they sit down to a magic breakfast, Wart asks Merlin if he would come and live in the castle with him. Merlin is delighted to do so, and loads all of his possessions into a cart, and they start off for Ecton's castle. The raven has been watching everything, and hurries off as they start on their journey to tell his evil mistress everything he has learned. The reason why the storytellers of old chose not to use this charming version are lost in the mists of time. You be the judge. Did they err or make the proper choice by telling the story the way they did?